Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Soberto podcast. Today I'm joined by Linus and also our guest Sanjib Nandi. Thank you very much for coming on. If you'd just like to give us a brief introduction really about your background just before we get started.
Hi everyone, my name is Sanjib Nandi and I was born and brought up in India, and I finished my pharmacy schooling in India. And after finishing my pharmacy schooling, I was looking for a better opportunity. And at that time, I got the opportunity to go to United Kingdom, which is London. So I moved to London in 2002, and I lived and worked there for 5 years. And in 2008, I moved to United States, and I have been living here for the past 14 years, and I've been working as a pharmacist.
Awesome. Have you, just kicking off, have you found much difference between moving from London to the United States as far as the working culture or anything like that?
I think the working culture means, if the opportunities wise, I think the opportunities are more in the United States than in the United Kingdom. I think the work environment is the same.
Okay. Yeah. Have there been any noticeable barriers since moving? Anything you found quite difficult?
No, it's quite similar, living in United Kingdom and United States. I think United Kingdom is a little bit more expensive, that's what I can say. But it's, more, on a similar side.
Yeah, I think I've been surprised coming out to Italy how cheap it is. Obviously, compared to London, it's nothing. It's cheap. Everything's cheap. Food, alcohol. But yeah, no. United States, the cultural difference between London, like England, and the United States is one that actually does get overlooked occasionally. I've worked for an American company for a while, and it was probably one of the worst experiences in my life. They just work differently. What with regards to like moving countries, so India to the UK to the United States, how's that impacted your life and your own culture and the way you sort of live?
So it has given me a broader perspective of life, because as I have lived in India, I know the culture in India, I know the work environment in India. Then I moved to London, I worked there for 5 years, and definitely it was different from, what I have worked in India. And it gives you a broader perspective of, how a human being works, what are their values, because, my inclination is to learn, why somebody behaves the way they behaves. And, once you move to a different country, you work with them and, you adjust your nature and your culture to adjust in their culture. And you learn a lot of things because you have to adapt fast.
Yeah.
And, working there, it gives you a broader perspective because, you don't know so many things in life. When you go to a new place, you experience, new things. When you are experiencing a new thing, your mind as well as your experiences, develop. And, that is what, build the confidence in a human being, because, as you mentioned that, confidence is the thing which is lacking in the younger generation. But, when you are traveling, when you are going to different places, when you are meeting new people and you are learning from their experiences and you are, mixing your experience and seeing, what is best. So, that is the reason, which I definitely emphasize everyone to travel, to go to a new place and work, or or a new country, because that will expose them more, and their perspective of life will change.
Yeah, I agree.
Go for it. I think we were saying the same thing.
Yeah, because I think yeah, it has. I mean, Solis would know. He had to work in Wales.
This is true. It sounds weird saying it's a different country, but yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
It's one of those things I just picked up on the fact that you also think that there's sort of a crisis of confidence for young people at the moment. What do you think's changed, and why do you think it's changed?
Repeat the question again, please.
So with regards to confidence, particularly for young people, do you think anything's changed, and why do you think it's changed?
Means I will not say, something has changed. Confidence has been a main factor for a long time. Like, what is confidence? Confidence is your inner world, what I perceive about myself. And if I think, negatively, or if I don't, think positively, like, personality wise, my habits, then I will act and behave in the same way. No. Just assume that, my confidence in a particular subject is low, like, oh, I don't, just like, for example, like, I don't perceive myself as handsome or good looking, I will behave and act in the same way. Because what you think from inside is definitely going to project outside. And you can take a skill as well, like, you study law. So you have expertise about law, and if you dive deep and you study hard, you will have confidence in that domain. Because you have knowledge, more about it, and you can speak with the other people with confidence. So again, to develop confidence, it needs time, it needs patience, it needs expertise to develop that self-confidence. It does not come in a day or two. So when you are young, you don't have all these expertise. And it's going from generation to generation. What is the difference between myself and you? You have more knowledge, you have more expertise about indulging or talking with other people. The only difference between you and me is I have more experience, which gives me a little bit more confidence than a younger generation people, because they know more about technology. Like, I have not that much expertise in technology, like, to connect the internet, to do those kind of things. My son has more knowledge. He's 13 years old, but he has more expertise about how to download it, how to connect, the wireless thing. So, those kind of things definitely, build up your confidence.
I want to throw in a curveball here. So what do you think, Sanjib? I know you mentioned about experience really helping with confidence. What do you think about people that try and fake it till they make it, so to say? People that try and project the image that they're not actually experiencing on the inside?
Cheers, Solus.
Yeah, means it's definitely a very good question, like fake it till you make it. I sometimes use it because when you are trying to do something, definitely from inside that you are not good at. But rather than not trying it, you have to, start at some point.
Yeah, so it's worth giving it a go.
Yeah, so that's the reason you have to a little bit fake it until you reach to that level, because you cannot be expert in all the field. Like, if I'm trying to do 10 different things, I cannot be expert in 10 different things. I can be expert in 1 or 2 things, but my intention is to do other things at the same time. Like, I was never a speaker, I was never a writer, I was never an entrepreneur, I was never a YouTuber. But if I think that, oh, this is not my domain, I don't want to try those things, then it will never be a possibility. You have to dive deep in spite of not knowing all the answers. In spite of faking it a little bit, you have to still do it in spite of that fear. And fear is the main thing which is stopping us from doing new things, because we think, oh, what my friend will think about it, because I'm not good at it. My friend might perceive me in a different way, or my family will judge me because I'm not good at it. That breaks down the confidence. But you have to still do it in spite of fear, in spite of having a low confidence, and eventually you will
definitely become better.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
And it takes 30 days. It only takes 30 days to make something a habit, right?
Means I will a little bit disagree with you that, it takes more than 30 days, because, I have studied about, myself, and, I have worked extensively. What I have figured out, it takes 60 to 90 days to make a habit. The previous notion is it takes 21 days to make a habit, but it takes longer than, 21 days. What I have calculated is it's between 30 to 60 days to make a habit.
Yeah. And with regards to sort of what you were saying earlier about confidence, I really liked what you were saying, because as well, sometimes when you actually fake it until you make it, you know, and throw yourself in a situation where you're learning, suddenly you turn around without even realizing it. And after you've been doing it for a year or two, you actually do become skilled. And you think you're still faking it, but you no longer actually are. You actually know what you're doing. So yeah, it's one of those things. With regards, you mentioned you've got a son. When we have people on the podcast who are parents, it's always really interesting to see what they think about the world we currently live in, particularly with regards to, you know, for males especially, it's a harder world to navigate. And also, what are you doing to sort of instill some confidence in your son as a father?
Again, you know, this is a very tricky question, because, you know, how do you install, you know, confidence in a kid? Like, you know, what I do, you know, I'm just giving you my personal experiences. You know, I let him do, you know, what he wants it to do, rather than, you know, projecting what I want him to do it. Because, you know, you have to let that kid grow by himself. You know, he has to explore different things, and he has to know that, okay, you know, what makes him comfortable. Because, you know, what happens is, you know, we you know, implant too many, you know, negative thoughts in our kid. You know, that is again my belief, that, you know, when a child is born, he has only two kind of fears: loud noises and falling. That is the only two fear he has. But by the time of 7 or 8, you know, the parents, teachers, uncles and aunts, we implant those kind of fear. Don't do this, don't speak with strangers. If you do this, you know, you will fail. So what happens by the time they become 7 or 8 or 10, these negative feelings of fear is installed in a kid. And by the age they, you know, reach 14 or 15, what happens, you know, because of the biological changes, because, you know, a male is releasing, you know, more testosterone at that age, you know, puberty, and, you know, female, you know, more estrogen. So, you know, those biological changes are natural, which happens with everyone. And what happens at that time, you know, when those biological changes are happening, you know, men definitely have the edge to become more aggressive and anger. You know, by the time they reach 16 to 20, they have more anger. They are not, you know, not have that much patience. And female, you know, are more, you know, prone to anxiety and depression.
It's interesting that you said about a difference. Sorry, just wanted to jump in there. It's interesting you said about a difference. Would you say that men, especially younger men, tend to be more confident than younger women? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't. No? Maybe there is a slightly edge to the men. But, you know, there is not a major difference. You can say, you know, that, you know, men has more confidence than women, but, you know, there is definitely a slight edge. You can give it to men because, you know, because of the anger and, you know, aggression, they build a little bit of more confidence, rather than, you know, women who have a little bit, you know, more prone to anxiety and depression. Because, you know, if you have,
it's as well because there's this study that shows, I can't remember the exact percentages, but men only need to be 40% sure before they do something. Women have to be 90% sure before they do something. And that's a sliding scale, right? It's a generalization. But it means men take risks quicker. So I think that's why it translates into a bit more confidence, because the more risks you're taking, the more uncomfortable situations you're getting into, the more confidence you're building.
Definitely, you know, as you say that, you know, the person who is taking more chances, and if he's able to get a little bit of success, you know, it will build his confidence, because, you know, that's how you build confidence. You have to take your chances, you dive deep into it. And when you see initial success that, okay, you know, I can do this much, maybe, you know, I should try a little bit more. Then, you know, that the next few months or next few days, you will try a little bit more and you will learn a little bit more. And, you know, in a span of 1 year, as you say, that, you know, you have learned so much that you don't have to fake it. You know, that is the way to build the confidence. You cannot build the confidence in a day or two. You have to, you know, take something which interests you, and whatever it is, you know, You wanted to do podcast, or you wanted to play soccer, or you wanted to play cricket, whatever it is, and the other thing which I definitely wanted to mention to your young audience is, don't compare yourself with somebody else. Because what happens when we are young, we start comparing with somebody else. Oh, he's doing this, I should also do this. Rather than comparing, yourself with somebody else, do what you like and, build that confidence slowly.
Yeah. So talking about doing new things, I mean, I completely agree with, over time building confidence, but talking about new things, I know you've written, is it one book or you've written a few?
I have written one book.
What made you do that, or how do you sort of get the confidence and motivation to do that? I'm quite interested.
So, it was never in the agenda to write a book. Like, as I say, we do things and we don't plan it. Some of the things, you just dive in, you learn some of the things, and there comes a point, there comes an opportunity, when you are doing multiple things, that there is a door opening which says, okay, there is a point you should write a book. And I have an interesting story to share about it. Like in 2016, 2013 to 2016, I was struggling in my life. I was depressed. My life was going downhill. And I know at one point in 2016, I decided, okay, if I don't do anything about my life, it is going to, go downhill, and, it is going to, give a bad impact on my son, because, I wanted to be a role model to my son, that is my intention. And, I wanted to live to that expectation. So, once you are in the bottom, like, the lowest point in your life, and, I was there. So you have to think about, okay, how can I come out of this negativity? What can I do to make my life, happy? Because, a human being is looking for three things and only three things. He wanted to be happy, he wanted to be healthy, and he wanted to be successful. I was, successful. I was making a lot of money, but I was not happy. So in 2017, I decided I wanted to change my life. So I slowly, start working on myself. I started doing meditation, then I started, slowly walking, go for long walks. And, after a few months, my body told me that, it is time for you to jog. So I started jogging, and which led to, ran my first marathon and a half marathon. Oh, yes. So, that gave me the confidence again, which I lost it, when I was going downhill, because, people have to face, difficult situation in their life, and it happens with everyone. Like, my misconception before was, why this is happening to me. And, most of the people think that way. If we face a difficult situation, we definitely think, okay, why this is happening to me, what I have done wrong, why God is not helping me. So rather than, going in that path, I started working and improving myself. So once I have improved myself, I thought, okay, this has helped me a lot. There are so many people struggling in life. Why don't I write a book? So, once you are doing many things in your life, there will be doors opening for you, which you never know existed. Because, we all have potential, or we all have possibilities. But when you start working on that, your possibility or your potential, opens up. And then, you take a new path and you dive deep into it, and you start, okay, I will write a book. And again, it's a process of writing that book. It takes a lot of energy, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of effort. But the end result, if you see that, okay, once the book is done, this is a kind of a legacy which is there for my son, even when I die. So, I think in that perspective, what I am leaving as a legacy, because we can have a lot of money, we can have a lot of wealth, but that is not going to stay forever. But if I do something which is going to stay forever, and book is one of the things which is going to stay, even after I died, so those kind of things made me write, my first book. And after I wrote my first book, I thought, why shouldn't I make an app? Because if I wanted to reach more people, app is a different way to reach more people. So, the app is an extension of my book.
Did they have similar themes, the book and the app? Because I know the app is a wellness app, isn't it?
Yes, means it's kind of related to, positivity is related to how you can make yourself better, because that's what we are looking for. If you're working on yourself, you are trying to make yourself better, your confidence, your self-image is going to get better. And like my app has few different sections, like I give emphasis to meditation, exercise, drinking water as you are drinking water, sleep tracking, about gratitude, about moods, about breathing. So it has included a lot of things. And I don't say that, my app is a meditation app, because, again, meditation does play a important role, but this is not, cannot completely change your life, upside down. You have to, approach your life from different angles, and then only you can change your life. And so these things were never planned. I started improving myself. I wrote my book. I launched my app. Then I have around 15 songs in Spotify. So this all came as a process and about, investing my time and effort about improving myself. There is a law of nature that when you are working extremely hard, you will definitely, get the fruits. What you sow is what you are going to reap someday. And that's what I have done in the last 3 years. I have worked hard, and slowly the doors are opening for me. I never thought that I will be doing podcast anytime in my life. Frankly speaking, it was never in the agenda. I have, what should I say, that I was fearful of public speaking.
No.
So that was never there. Like till the age of 35, I was not able to, like the fear of public speaking is the utmost fear anybody can have it. And, I have that fear. No, I will rather die rather than, speak publicly. So, overcoming that fear, now sitting in front of you, maybe, initially I might have faked it, but, now I have that confidence that I can, speak with anybody with confidence regarding anything, like it's not about, I can speak about confidence, I can speak about life, I can speak about suffering, I can speak about, how to improve yourself, I can speak about, how to change your brain, because again, there are different things you have to approach it. And I definitely believe that a human being has a lot of potential. Like, that potential is so much that once you start tapping into it, you can do kind of, anything, what you think about.
It's a superpower.
Oh, yeah, it's a superpower. Yeah, it's a superpower. Again, not everybody knows how to use it. We have a brain, but we don't know, how to use it and how to make it, more efficient. Once you know the tricks that, how can I make it, efficient, what is needed? Because, again, not everybody has the knowledge. When you are young, definitely you don't have the knowledge, okay, what has to be done? Because, when, if I compare my life, when I was 16-year-old or 20-year-old, I did the things which either people told me to do it, or I did the things what people were doing it. If my friends were doing it, I wanted to do the same things, or I did the things what my parents told me to do it. So, once you start, coming outside of your comfort zone, because, we wanted to be in a zone which is, safe, and we wanted to be secure in, what we are doing it. Because again, you have to understand that the role of the mind. The role of the mind is to keep yourself in a safe position. Anything, you are trying to take risk, your mind will tell you, you don't do it. It's risky.
With regards to that, with the public speaking you mentioned, obviously that was something that you had to sort of get over a fear of talking publicly. What was it like, that initial fear? Because we have a lot of people who listen to this who don't like public speaking, who are very nervous about it. How did you sort of tell yourself, I've just got to forget about it and jump? What was it like, that process?
So the process, as I told, when I was struggling in my life in 2016, I set up a goal that I wanted to become a public speaker. That was kind of, my wildest dream, that I wanted to, speak in front of the people. I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to, tell them that, if I can speak, you have the ability to speak at the same time. So I set up a goal. Okay, this is my goal. Now, then after that, I started, working on it. I started reading books because, I need the knowledge to speak about, something. Without the knowledge, I will not be able to speak in front of, any audience. So I started reading it, reading about self-help, reading about, getting the information and knowledge, what is needed. So, and what I started doing is I started practicing at home, recording myself. And, it can be a 30-second video, or it can be a 1-minute video. That's how you started, start it slowly. If you are recording yourself for, just assume 30 seconds or 1 minute every single day, in 6 months, you will see the improvement from the first video to the video you made it at 6 months.
It's funny you say that, because I actually, I've been publicly speaking since, the age of 13. I love it, but I really used to have a big confidence issue with cameras. So like anything camera orientated, so recording myself for an interview, or just doing something like this, but especially on my own, I'm terrible. I used to go into recording studios and I'd be in front of the microphone and I'd just seize up and not be able to do it. Whereas you put me on a stage in front of 500 people, it's not a problem. So that's been something I've been developing a lot. And lately with the podcast, I've been having to record a lot of myself and watch myself back, and it is getting better. You're right. You do see those improvements quite quickly. So yeah, just wanted to say quickly, just obviously we sort of have a closing tradition on this podcast, a bit where we ask where you think you'd be if you hadn't been confident. Without confidence in your life, do you think you would have achieved what you have achieved? And how important is it to you?
Again, it's a very good question. Definitely confidence is needed. And, without confidence, you cannot, move far in your life. Because how I developed my confidence is, when I started running my half marathon. Once I finished my half marathon, as you have, maybe heard it, you are a different person once you have finished a half marathon or a full marathon, because it gave me the confidence, what I was lacking. What happens is when you do something, significant, you can go back to that situation. Okay, if I can run a half marathon, I can do, bigger things in my life.
Yeah.
You refer to that memory that if I have done this podcast, 10 times, I should be able to come today and do it again.
Yeah,
it's
like a reference point, a page in the history. Go back.
So it's a reference point. You go back, okay, I have done it 50 times. Definitely, you will have a little bit of nerves which is coming on, but that you have done it many times and you can still do it, today as perfectly and definitely better than what you have done before. So confidence is definitely needed. There is no doubt. But again, when you are young, you have to build that confidence. So don't hesitate to fail. What happens? We fear, if I fail, then what my friends or family is going to think about. I failed so many times in my life, like my life is a story of failure. I failed many times from the age of 16, like, 16, I was lost. I don't know what to do here. Then I failed in so many exams. I failed in my driving license. I failed in every new job I have worked. I have, even failed in public speaking at the same time, I froze in my first public speaking, but, I never gave up.
Yeah. And that's really important.
That's a key thing.
Never give up. Sanjib, we always ask just before we wrap up if you've got any questions for us and if you'd like to deliver a final message to the audience.
So, the final piece of advice I can give to your listeners or audience is, work on yourself. And it can be a small thing like, improving your communication skill or writing skills, or, working or a goal or a dream, or on your physical or mental health. Because, when you are investing your time and your resources in improving yourself, it is going to stay with you all your life. So, start slowly and don't worry about, what others are going to say about you. The traffic lights of life will never be all green at the same time. You have to start at some point, correct the course along the way, and do the best you can do it. Because 20 years down the lane, you will be more disappointed by the things which you did not do. If I have not written my book, if I have not written my, done my app, I will be disappointed that, there was so much potential which I have left it. Rather than, leaving it, try it, correct the course and see what is the possibility. Because everything is a possibility, what we think about. The laptop which we are using, the microphone, it was just a thought in one person's mind. Now it has become a reality. So if a thought comes to your mind that I wanted to do it, put your energy and resources in improving that thing. And, in the course of, 1 or 2 years, you will become so much good at it. You will be amazed by the, the self, improvement or the self-development which you have done in your life. So, that is the main thing. Improve yourself, work on yourself, dream, explore, and see, what is the possibilities.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Sanjib. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I think that you've given our audience a lot to think about. Of course, this has been the Solvateur podcast. I'd like to thank Alex for coming on and hosting this one, and thank our guest who has been absolutely fantastic. I'll make sure that the links to your Instagram and all your whatever you need, and your app, of course, is in the bio of the episode. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I always have to say, ask yourself, if not today, then when? Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you. Bye.